everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to say that the time has finally come for me to be able to be outside in something other than snow or torrential downpour or just frigidly cold temperatures. So I'm standing here in my greenhouse and it's probably about 60 or maybe 62 degrees. I think it's supposed to get up to 68 today, which is phenomenal compared to the temperatures that we had been experiencing for the past couple of months. And I am just really excited to be able to be out here. The birds are singing. I have some daffodils coming up in the garden right now, which I'll show you in a moment. There's a bit of a chilly wind, but in this greenhouse, it traps temperatures so well that I actually am starting to sweat a little bit. One, because I'm not used to being warm anymore, but two, there's just not great airflow in here. We do have a little vent, but it doesn't open for some reason. So we're in here today to do some fun spring bulb planting and some cute little vessels that I have. And then for the bulb arrangements, I'll just be gathering up some moss here from the garden. There is tons growing on everything right now from how much rain we've gotten and how much moisture has just been sitting in the ground. We have really dense clay soil here. Not to get too far on a tangent, which is always tempting, I think around October, November, I planted some tulip bulbs in the critter fence area. And then I came out here the other day just to check on them and noticed from all the rain that they had floated up to the top and they were submerged underwater. So I don't know if they are going to bloom this spring or not. So fingers crossed that they pull through. This is the first time I've ever attempted to plant tulips because, as you might remember from my previous videos, if you've watched them, we do have a lot of deer. And before the critter fence, I really didn't have a place I could plant tulip bulbs where they wouldn't get eaten. This was gonna be the first year of tulips, but maybe not now. So I'll have to keep you guys updated on whether that works out or not. And also, if you can see the awful collection of dead plants behind me, I do apologize. I did not keep up with them very well over the winter. It was just too cold in here. The snow was blocking the entry to the greenhouse and I admittedly didn't really feel like coming out to take care of them. I know that's so bad and I feel guilty. At the beginning of winter, I was so good about it and I came out and watered them and took care of them. But then as it got more and more frigid and we got crazy amounts of snow, I got a little bit lazy about it. So I definitely regret that now. And really none of my plants survived as far as I can tell. So we will be doing some new planting, and I think I decided for the topiary I just have to bring it in during the winter, otherwise it's not going to be taken care of. So anyway, another tangent. I am going to show you the cute little containers that we are going to plant some bulbs in today. So this is an adorable teacup that I got from a local antique shop, and I only got one. There was a set of three, I almost dropped it. A set of three or so, and I don't know why I only got one, but I'm not always a fan of having homogeneous sets of things. I think I like having singular, unique pieces. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but I just tend to collect a lot of singular items like this. This is by the brand Adams, and it says it's an English brand. And just to give you a bit of a close-up, it is a light yellow cream color. All right, the next one we have here is this adorable, I don't really know what to call this, like a compote bowl. It's a little bowl with a pedestal, and this has a really cool memory behind it. I went to Boston and there was a store there called Pod. Shout out to Pod. They are awesome. Pod is a really cool independent store and they have the best selection of really cool things. They even had some C. Atherley branded hand cream, which I love that brand. And I picked this up there on my trip, and I think it was by a Japanese brand. I don't quite remember the brand at the moment, but I'll put it in the description. This is a piece of Fiesta ware, and it's that similar kind of, this is a little bit more buttery yellow than the teacup. And it did come with a top, but I obviously removed it for this purpose. Okay, so the last item that we're gonna use is this large antique soup tureen. It does have a bit of a crack that was mended at some point. I think I got this on Etsy a while back, but I love this. Okay, so now for the bulbs. Honestly, both of these bulbs are a couple months old at this point, so I'm really hoping that they still do their thing for me. But this is a bag of muscari bulbs, just small ones that I got from Amazon. And there's a count of 15, so probably be putting these in the smaller vessels. And then this is a bag of paperwhite bulbs that I got from our local garden center. Okay, so we have this big scoop of sand ready to go. I had to store it in this large soil scoop because I don't know where my bucket is, and I went out to grab the bag of sand and a big hole ripped in it, so I had to go collect it with this. All right, so for this big one, I think I can just pour some directly in. All right, we'll just kind of even it out a little bit. And now we can fill up our smaller containers. Making a little bit of a mess with the sand, but oh well. That should be enough for the teacup. Finally, just this little bowl. And we'll pour the rest of it back into this larger tureen. Okay, so now that we have our gritty substance filled up in the bowls, I think we're ready to place our bulbs. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the paper whites. You can see there's still a little hint of green here, so hopefully they're still able to bloom for me. Paper whites are all good to go. We're gonna move on to the muscari. Look how eensy weensy and cute it is. They've all been nestled into the sand, and now for the final step, well, I guess second to last final step, we're gonna gather some moss, and then we will give them a little bit of a water. Look at this little green sprout. This is one of my daffodils coming through. I'm so excited. There's a couple of them around here. I kind of stepped on this one a little bit sadly and flattened it. Look at the mossy pathway. So we were definitely able to find plenty of moss for this, and we have it all right here in this cute little truck. Going to go ahead and just grab clumps now and fill in the gaps around the bulbs. I'm just going to start here with this large tureen. There really isn't a rhyme or reason to this, just sort of filling in the gaps. All right, I think that that's plenty, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to the smaller ones. All right, so that is the last of the containers completely filled up with moss. I'm so happy with how they came out, and I have to confess that midway through I did run in the house for a potato chip snack break because I was starving. Picking moss apparently takes a lot of effort. So for the final step, we just have to water them. I filled up my little green Haws plastic watering can here off camera. I do have a metal version that I keep in the house, but the plastic one I keep out here. And because bulbs don't need a ton of water, we're just going to add a little bit. So now that they've been adequately watered, they are ready to come inside, and I'll update you on the status of how they're growing once they get started. So I wanted to share some exciting goodies that I got today, and I guess you could call it a bit of a farm store haul or grocery shop haul. I just heard about this farm shop from a family friend, and something that I don't think I've ever shared on my channel is that I used to live in Sonoma County, California for about 5 years, and I was really passionate about local food and supporting local farmers and essentially using my dollar to support businesses that were sustainable and good for the environment. And my favorite place to go on the weekends was the farmers markets. If you guys have been to Sonoma or just the North Bay area in general, you know how much of a food-centric place it is and how wonderful the quality of all the food products is there. And there's so many options and there's so many beautiful farms. So the farmers market was really like my candy store, and I would always choose a new one to go to every weekend because there's just so many. So I wanted to sit here and do a little bit of a run through of the things that I picked up this morning. Their animals are pasture raised, and I looked at their website and it basically says that to them, pasture raised means allowing animals to move and be mobile. So they are really passionate about that, and they're also passionate about regenerative agriculture. All right, so I got this adorable branded bag at their farm shop, just mostly honestly because we got there and I realized I didn't bring a bag and I just thought it was really handy and very cute. The first item I want to show you is more of a pantry item, and this is by the brand Vandy, and they are potato chips with no seed oils. I do think I've seen this brand before, maybe in Whole Foods, but I've never tried it, so this was kind of the push that I needed to give them a try. And they're made from organic potatoes and 100% grass-fed beef tallow and then sea salt. So really simple ingredients. And then the second item I picked up is this Divine Living certified organic raw sauerkraut. I've been really wanting to get back into fermented foods. Something I struggle with is called mast cell activation syndrome. If you guys know someone or maybe suffer with it yourself, you know how much of a struggle it is to kind of keep foods in your diet because your body just gets really reactive allergenically to things. And I really struggled with it for a long time. I've actually been on medicine for it for about 10 years. So got it in my early 20s, and oh, it's actually fizzing because I'm holding it sideways right now. So got to straighten that out a little bit before it leaks all over me. Excuse the fizzing. Hopefully it doesn't explode in my hand here. I'm happy to say that after about that 10 years of treatment, I don't know what finally clicked, but I have started to finally have less reactions to food, and I've been able to regain a lot of things that previously would cause me anaphylaxis. So some of the things I used to get really bad allergic reactions to were things like fish, nuts, and eggs, and I've been able to gain all three of those back in the past year or so without any real reaction. So that is a huge win for me, and because of that, I'm trying to incorporate more things that I lost, and one of those things, back to the start of this ramble, is fermented foods. And I used to be really big into sauerkraut, kefir, kombucha, but unfortunately I had to remove all of those things from my diet because they were just making me so reactive. So a long-winded way of saying that I'm really excited to try this. Okay, so the next item is by the brand Green Girl Bake Shop, and it's a vanilla bean with chocolate chip cookie. And it says it's a plant-based superfood ice box sandwich. I'm not really sure what an ice box sandwich is, if they just mean like a ice cream sandwich. I'm assuming that's what they mean. It says it's sweetened with maple syrup, and it is organic, dairy-free, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and paleo. And let's read the little summary of the brand. So it says, sprouted from the simple idea of creating an allergy-friendly, plant-based, you can still hear the sauerkraut kind of bubbling in the background. I'm a little bit freaked out. Yeah, it's an allergy-friendly, plant-based dessert that tastes great, uses whole nutrient-dense superfood ingredients, and supports the wellness and vitality of all living beings. And that's cool. This is actually a California-based brand, it looks like. And also, how chic is this packaging? It's so pretty. I have been dairy-free now for at least 10 to 12 years. And I mean, out of necessity, really. I'm excited to try it again. And actually, I did pick up a grass-fed cheese from the grocery store a couple weeks ago, and I did give it a try, just the tiniest little bite, and I didn't react. So I'm hoping that that means that I'm not reactive anymore. So I picked up this with a very hopeful perspective that I was not going to have any issues with it. Okay, so this is the only fresh produce that I picked up. They had cabbage, carrots, sweet potatoes. I love carrots, and I go through so many of them, and they're really beefy sized carrots. So I think these would be really good in a stew or a soup, and I'm actually going to use them for that purpose, and I'll show you with what here in a second. So the last two things I have left to show you are both meat, and this is a stewing hen, and it's regenerative, mobile pasture raised, GMO free, and local, obviously, and I thought this would be great for using those carrots. Okay, and now the very last thing that I have is just a pound of ground beef, and my husband actually picked this up. We're currently getting majority of our grass-fed beef either from the grocery store here, or we have another local farm that we really like at the farmer's market that we go to. And also, just on the topic of meat and fish, they do sell salmon as well. So once I'm out of my grocery store bought salmon, I do want to pick some of that up. All right, so that is everything that we decided to pick up today, and I'm sure we'll have much more next week. We did kind of do a full grocery shop not that long ago, so we weren't very low on the things that we typically buy and eat.